You don't even hear dogs bark unnecessarily. Hi everybody, it is Stacy personally speaking, and I'm actually here just to talk to you. Actually talk, no outside, no garden, nothing. I just want to talk to you today, January 4th, 2024, 2 days before my birthday on January 6th. Hint, hint. I wanted to do this video, like many others, for a very, very long time. But this video is really to talk about the time that I have been back in Jamaica. What's been going on with me? What has been going on? It's been 6 months since I've been back in Jamaica. 6 months. 7 months since I left Japan, however. And I really wanted to do this for myself. As the thoughts continue to go on and on in my head, I really wanted to articulate them to see if I was making sense to myself and to those with whom I was interacting, who seemed to not really know where I was and what has been going on with me. And so I'm going to be saying some random things in no particular order. Even though I made some notes, they were just not coming out because I wasn't remembering some of the things that were bombarding my brain before to talk about this 6-month anniversary. But the focus is really on the reverse culture shock. Reverse culture shock from Japan to Jamaica. 7 years living in Japan, and I visited home only once in 2019, just before COVID hit, and stayed for 3 weeks. And so I am ready now to try and articulate this discourse about this reverse culture shock, because it is very, very real. It is very, very real, coming from a developed country to a developing country. And it's not for me to blast Jamaica or blast Japan or anything, but it's to really appreciate the nuances of what happens when you move from one place to another after an extended period. Now, one of the first things that comes to me readily is the fact that I can no longer, not yet, but I cannot check the temperature in Fahrenheit. I'm sorry, it means nothing to me, right? I need to see the temperature in Celsius, and so that's what my phone is set to. It might seem negligible, but like I legit can't figure out what's going on with Fahrenheit. I'll know, so I don't even bother. Not to mention inches. Mind you, that one is not as bad because I usually use my finger to determine inches, but for me it's all about centimeters now. For me it's still about writing with a black ink pen instead of a blue. It's so strange to write with blue ink pen now. In Japan it's all about the black ink pen. And so even though I bought this, I deliberately bought a blue ink pen to introduce some color in my life. It just feels so weird. It feels weird writing with blue. But it's just one of the things that I am processing along with the many things. Now, as many of you know, I had bought a house before I came back. Wonderful. I love my house so till. But the location is not convenient as where I was living in Japan. Now, in Japan, I could literally step out of my house, walk to the supermarket for 5 minutes. And mind you, I was living in that apartment for about 5 years. So, you know, I was just used to the convenience, like literally everything, pharmacy, supermarket, doctor, this, that, literally outside my door. I come here in Jamaica in my beautiful new home. I don't have no car. I don't have no bicycle. Yes. And it's a new environment with new neighbors. And I am not on the way or nearby anyone that I'm familiar with. So it's not like, okay, let me pick you up on my way. No, I am out of the way. And so I have to plan my shopping when I am out. When I am out. Like, when I leave my house, I have to plan what I need to do while I'm out. Because when I come back in, that's it. But why, Stacy? Just because it's so inconvenient to travel. For me, it is so inconvenient going out to my gate and waiting on a taxi. And when I say my gate, I mean my community's gate. I have to go out and wait on a taxi. Sometimes I get one immediately, not usually the case. But at other times, 15, 20 minutes of waiting, ain't nobody got time for that. That don't happen in Japan. Hello? And it's not hurricane, snow, or tsunami. Hello? No, sir. But that is my reality now, and I have to be trying to reprogram my brain to appreciate the poor transportation system here in Jamaica. Yeah, I'm just not used to that whole heap of waiting time anymore. No, right? No, when I just came back, I came back in summertime. I came back in June. The heat would have killed me. The heat would have killed me. Mind you, everybody was complaining that they were hot. Of course. Everybody was hot. And that's fair. That's reasonable. But it's like my heat, it kind of turned up. I was walking everywhere with my pink umbrella. Literally. Every step, and people were looking at me funny. Even my neighbor was like, Stacy, put on the umbrella. Where you go with the umbrella? Wait. And I'm like, no, I need it. Umbrella and my fan. Like, listen to me. That fan, that one little Hyakuen 100 yen fan that I came back here with, you see, has been my friend. Even now in December, because 70 years of my body going through 4 seasons has now come braps to 1 season again, because not even rain did not fall too hard. The rainy season was very sparse, and so the heat lingered for a really long time, right? When I'm in Japan, I'm expecting the temperature to start changing September, October, November, and it starts to get cooler. Not even Christmas breeze did I pass through Jamaica like it used to. So it was like I was just so hot all the time. And I didn't have the different season to look forward to, the different clothes. And I'm like, all right, it's okay. Now we're in not Jamaica. We're in January. And it's normally one of the coldest months in Japan. And the place hot. In Jamaica, yeah, it hot, same way. And how me know it hot so? It's because I'm outside every day. I am outside every day, right? So one of the other things now that I wrestle with is shopping for food. And by food, I guess I'm speaking more specifically to fruits and vegetables, ground provisions, that kind of thing, which Japan don't have too much of. So like I would find myself in the beginning just buying some stuff that, oh my, I'm just excited to see them, because we never see them for such a long time in Japan. Conversely, when I was in Japan, I was doing the same thing. The first time I saw chocho or chayote, I just buy all of them. Anything that I saw, I would buy when it was the first time I was seeing it in Japan, because of the familiar link it had with Jamaica. So now I am back in Jamaica and I'm doing the same thing. I'm buying foods that I was not seeing in Japan for a really long time. And it's not necessarily that I usually eat them that much when I was here, but it's just the thrill of seeing the variety and the diversity. Recently, I decided to buy tripe, that is intestines, animal intestines to eat. No, even before I left for Japan 7 years ago, it was not something that I would buy. But I was just so excited to see the tribe and know that tribe going bean and yes, and people on YouTube, me have to go on to find out how to cook the tribe because it was not something that I usually ate unless my mother cooked it. Right? So all of these things I am trying to process in my brain while I am back and trying to navigate everyday activities like buying food. No, I had stopped in the US for a month. And apart from my ears trying to get used to hearing English every day, English, 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 and realizing that I could actually understand what people were saying, which was just something in and of itself. Coming back to Jamaica, I can truly see and appreciate patois as a language in and of itself, because that was just another level of understanding for me, that I can really understand what they're saying. I'm hearing English and I understand. I'm hearing patois and I understand, and I realize the differences between them clear as day. And so I still listen sometimes to NHK in English, but NHK is Japan's news, world international news website. I still listen to that because I get to hear some Japanese as well. And mind you, I am still using Duolingo, which is a language learning app, to study Japanese every day. Every evening, I try and do my like 5, 10, 15 minutes of Japanese just to hear some Japanese, because no, I'm not hearing any, and it's like, from time to time, my reactions will be in Japanese because it just seems more appropriate. It just, more concise and speaks more directly to what I want to say and express. So that is something I'm also dealing with. Another thing I'm dealing with is the noise level. What are you talking about, Stacy? The noise level. Listen, when I was in the States, I literally had to use earplugs while I went to church because it was just so loud. And I spoke to the person in charge of the sound, and I'm like, you guys don't realize how loud the system is? And they're like, no, because they're so used to it. It loud, me feel like I go deaf. But thank God for earplugs. When I came to Jamaica, same thing. Me have to look for which part the speaker boxes them there, to avoid them. It was so loud, not just in church, on the streets, car horns blowing constantly. That not happening in Japan. I must something serious for you hear a car horn blow in Japan, where I was living in central Japan. You don't even hear dogs bark unnecessarily. That is how quiet Japan is. I remember the first time I heard a dog bark in Japan, I was like, wow, that sounded so good. Seriously. No, the noise. I went downtown, the noise. I go half a tree, the noise. Everywhere I go, the noise. It's been 6 months, and I must say, I'm starting to get used to the noise. And in fact, it is kind of strange that during COVID, when it got absolutely quiet, too quiet for me, it was a difficult situation, because I lived on a road where the elementary or primary school age children would walk past, and I would hear their little feet and their little chattering, and I would hear cars driving by and so on, and that was enough to keep me connected with humanity, as it were, to keep me kind of grounded. But then when COVID came and all of that stopped, it was just silence, just perpetual silence. No, in Jamaica, it's just perpetual noise. not entirely. My community is relatively quiet. I'd say largely quiet actually, except for when kids are visiting for the holidays, or there's a holiday rather, and they are playing on the street, which is not a lot because the community still has empty houses and people have not been as everybody's trying to settle in and settle down, and I'm trying to do the same thing as well, you know. And I actually live near a main road. The back part of my house is to the main road, and so I actually am grateful to sometimes hear those cars and vehicles passing, because it just kind of reminds me that I'm alive and I'm connected and I'm grounded, you know. I mean, I thought the Holy Spirit Christian kind of grounding. I'm just talking about the humanity social grounding, because we are social beings. And let me tell you, if I never learn nothing, me know say Japan enough for me when it comes to the social aspects of it. So that's another thing now. Back in Jamaica, everybody are hug up and everybody are greet and everybody are, you know, everybody are smile. Even if they don't know you, they might call to you and all those things. That don't happen in Japan. Unless you live somewhere near somebody who might have traveled or they are used to foreigners. So a lot of things I'm still readjusting and my mind is opening up back to, and all of those things. Now, as I said before, I came back home to a new house, wonderful. But this new house took a lot out of me financially, mentally, emotionally, along with all that Japan had taken, right? And I realized I have not given myself any patience, any grace. Mind you, when I was coming back, I really wanted to not work for at least a year. You hear how me ambitious? Yes, man, I wanted to not have to work for at least a year, but I did not have that money at all because it all went into the house. The house, which is taking money every single month on top of it. And so I had to start working as soon as I could. And even knowing that, I am still not very patient with myself. I am expecting too much of myself. I'm expecting so much to develop faster than it already has been developing. So when I came and my house was empty, except for the few things, thank God I still had a bed and a dresser and my art supplies. I did not have a stove for a couple months. I got the fridge first, and then the following month, I don't remember which month, I got the stove. So I got the fridge first and then I got the stove. And somebody had asked me in the on my YouTube channel the kind of projection that I had for myself. How did I plan on acquiring appliances? And I never really thought about it like that, even though I had drafted this spreadsheet about phase 1 of my life moving in and what I expected to accomplish in phase 1 and phase 2 and phase 3 and phase 4. Those 4 phases expanded to up to 8 because I realized that I was not able to do any landscaping as I wanted and to keep my yard as clean as I wanted, because it's $10,000 to keep my yard clean. Yeah, I wanted house with yard space, and I definitely got house with yard space coming from an apartment that could probably fit into my house now about 4, 5, 6 times, just the house itself. Maybe just 4 times, and then could fit in the yard itself another 4, 5, 6 times, literally, right? So I realized now that I had a great expense, not just the house, but to fill the house, and not with anything unnecessary, but basic things. And I was just pressuring myself, right? And the first few months, of course, I was spending from what little savings I had. And that was how I was doing it. And I'm just navigating all the frustrations of being back and everything. And, you know, it's like I expected to just come back and fall into a pattern and rhythm, which to this day, 6 months in, has not happened. I remember a friend of mine from Japan who had moved to Canada saying to me, I should allow even up to a year to settle back home. And she's so right. Because of all the nuances and the factors for each individual, you can see where it would take some time. Because if you have family support or this support or that support, things are different. If you make certain decisions, things are different. Like if I really wanted a stove, washing machine, fridge, settee, I could have bought them much cheaper. Much cheaper. But I saw it as an investment in myself, in my home, and for long term. Me no want to buy nothing with too cheap where 2 tools me have to go replace it after a few years. No, because I intend for these appliances and so on to last 10, 20, 30 years where possible. Right? So I made the sacrifice to do without. But even then I question myself, Stacy, why you bother buy that one? It's so expensive. Why you bother? And because in Japan, you know, you can get second-hand things easy. Yes, there are second-hand things here in Jamaica, but no, me not get that feeling and the vibe there. For my house, you know, for my home that I'm building, I didn't get it at all. You know, and so right now I'm still without any living room furniture. You know, I had bought a kind of high table with stools, not a regular dining set, and this was just to get me up off the floor, because when I had my theory classes for work, which I do online, I would have to be sitting on the floor. And I did that for several classes. I'll be sitting on the floor when it's time to get up, and you know, me kind of, even though I'm used to sitting on the floor in Japan, but now it's like I'm back in Jamaica. Why are you sitting on the floor? Your bed is now elevated. You don't have no floor chair anymore. You should be sitting upright. You know, and so I'm just struggling and wrestling with all these different things, you know. But I am grateful. I'm grateful to be able to reflect and look at all that is going on with me, you know, and realize that I have been working hard and I need to be more patient with myself. I have given a lot of myself, and it's now time to enjoy the fruit of my labor, so to speak, even though I'm laboring a lot more physically and mentally out a door. But you know, now I can go back to that YouTube comment and answer this person about how I was able to, or what I had planned in terms of appliances and furnishings and so on. Because unless you have a whole heap of money that you are coming back with, you need to give yourself time. If it's you alone and you don't have anybody helping you, you have to give yourself time. You have to give yourself time. That is what I'm telling myself. Stacy, you must give yourself time. Be patient with yourself. These are the words that I'm speaking to you, and whoever else they may apply to in this 2024 new year. No, I like to be active, and I don't know what is wrong with me, because I'm never inactive. I always have things to do, you know, always. But my main focus and purpose here on earth is to do for the Lord. Yes? And so by October, me be ready, kind of ish. Listen, as I landed and went back to church, you see, everybody was asking me, Stacy, when are you joining back the choir? Stacy, when are you going back on the choir? Stacy, when are you going back on the choir? Stacy, Like every week. Every week. And then when I finally joined the choir, oh yes man, we're glad to see you up there man. But see, when you go sing, when you go sing, when you go sing, when you go sing. And my poor brain, they wouldn't even know what I want. They wouldn't even know. Because although my body has not rested and recovered, And so I decided to rejoin my choir in about October. And then almost immediately, I kind of had regrets about it. But at the same time, I did not want to give myself an excuse. Legit as it seemed. I rejoined my choir. I started ministering. But I was struggling. I was struggling physically, emotionally, psychologically. My spirit man is stronger than all of them that combined, and it's the best thing that. And so I remained grounded. But I still struggled with those aspects. Getting to choir practice was a challenge. Getting home was a challenge. Getting to work has been a challenge. Getting home from work, challenge. If I told you some of the things that I did from my experience with the public transportation system, would wonder if something is wrong with me. But it has been such a struggle with the transportation. Such a struggle, which I never had to deal with in Japan, because up to midnight, I could check the schedule and find out when was the last train, when was the last bus, or me ride my bicycle, and I would not feel any way about riding at any hour of the night. Now, but I tried that yes, Jamaica. When I came and I was excited, I was like, I'm going to get a bicycle. I'm going to get a bicycle. People are like, oh, I ride in your community. I'm like, no, I want to use it as a mode of transportation. People, when I see the roads, the lack of sidewalks, the overgrown roadways, even the roads are not properly bushed. And this is where I would have had to ride, mind you. And it's just not safe. Me just feel the way how people drive and the way they are forced to drive because of the potholes. Like, when I get licked off of the bicycle so many times. That's what I'm thinking. But I just don't see it anymore as an option unless I'm just staying in my community. Even though I'm kind of looking forward to it. But, however, I'm not here to complain. All this time I've been talking, I'm not complaining. I'm just assessing where I am, acknowledging my realities, and thinking about what I need to pray about, how I need to go about giving more grace to myself. Because I can't expect it from people who don't understand where I am. They don't. Some have never left their parish, what we call parish in Jamaica. Some have never left Jamaica itself. And so they don't understand all that I am struggling with and trying to deal with, and how hard I am even on myself for not being where I want to be and not advancing more with my home and with this and that and my life and all sorts of those things. I'm just assessing it all. And I'm looking at the areas where I am grateful, that I can be grateful for, and giving energy, effort, and time to those areas. I thank you all for joining me on this lengthy video. If you have gotten to the end, God bless you. Even if you don't reach the end, God bless you same way. Thank you for your love and support. And I am out of here. Finally, Stacy personally speaking. I'll catch you next time. Like, share, and subscribe. Put a comment below this. Check out the description.